here in New York City. They will then process him. And then at some point, he will be here behind me at the federal courthouse to face the charges. This is really, really significant. This has been a kind of a whirlwind of a morning. We were expecting him in state court on those murder charges and the terrorism charges. But now this morning, suddenly the FBI coming in, the Department of Justice, the U.S. Attorney's Office, filing these charges as the NYPD was bringing Luigi Mangione back to New York City. They used their own plane to pick him up in Pennsylvania and to bring him here to New York City, and then he will be transferred into the FBI's custody. Significantly also, I want to say that in this new complaint that the U.S. Attorney's Office just released, there is new information about the notes that we have been hearing that Luigi Mangione wrote himself allegedly. In the notes, what the U.S. Attorney's Office says and the FBI is that it is marked August 15th, and that the notebook describes how, quote, the details are finally coming together, and that allegedly Luigi Mangione writes in this notebook, I'm glad in a way that I've procrastinated because it allowed me to learn more about Company One. They don't name the company in this case. And they say the notebook entry also stated that, quote, the target is insurance because, quote, it checks every box. There's more information from other notes that Luigi Mangione allegedly made in this notebook coming from October 22nd, and it's stated 1.5 months. The investor conference is a true windfall. And most importantly, the message becomes self-evident, it says. And then it goes on to say that the notebook describes an intent to, quote, whack the CEO of one of the insurance companies at its investors conference. And then the Department of Justice says, as described above, October 22nd was approximately 6 weeks before the date of the murder of the victim, which occurred on the date of Company One's investor conference. So some new information here. It goes to the level of planning, the weeks that Luigi Mangione allegedly planned, that he had waited to do this. There are also some new pictures that the Department of Justice is releasing in this complaint. So there's new information, and we will probably learn even more when the court appearance happens later here in the day. And as sort of as this case has been, things just suddenly happen. And certainly this is all new here information for today.
I mean, it is really remarkable. As you were telling our viewers, I have the complaint here as well. And as you were just noting, of course, giving the most chilling parts of the news that we are learning as part of this, the fact that it was so cold-blooded, so calculated, so detailed. Wow. Shimon, don't go anywhere, because I know you are waiting there for this suspect to actually get there as he is making his way to New York from Pennsylvania. I want to now go to CNN Chief Law Enforcement and Intelligence Analyst John Miller, as well as legal analyst Elliot Williams. John, I want to start with you, and part of what the Shimon was talking about with this notebook really clearly writes the motive. And said that he expressed hostility toward the health insurance industry and wealthy executives in particular.
Well, the notebook was actually referenced in the 3-page letter that Mangione was allegedly found carrying, where he talked about the claim of responsibility, but he said, you'll find the planning and the to-do lists and the other elements in the spiral notebook, which they make reference to in this federal complaint. But it is based on the federal anti-stalking laws and the use of interstate commerce, so that they can show he traveled across state lines with the intent to commit these felonies, allegedly, that he used interstate commerce in terms of research, telephones, emails, and so on, to facilitate this crime, and that all of this was used in furtherance of that murder. So what you have now is 2 distinct cases, and interesting law enforcement role reversal here, where the state authorities are charging terrorism, offering a potential life sentence without parole, and federal authorities, which would usually be the lead on terrorism, charging stalking and weapons possession. Either way, federal supremacy takes hold here, where they were able to writ him out of the Pennsylvania jail into their custody. But the bulk of this investigation is done by NYPD detectives from the beginning. They're going to team up with people from the FBI's Violent Crimes Task Force in New York City, which is a combination of FBI agents and New York City detectives. And it'll really be between the prosecutors to figure out which case goes first, which case follows, or if a plea deal is reached, which will dispose of both cases